already made a mistake. Oops. I realized that I deleted the video where I explained the front and back pieces of the top. So I'm just gonna do it right now. It's pretty simple. All I did was trace this gray t-shirt. I traced all along the neckline, the shoulder seams, the armhole, and down the side seam. And then for the sleeves as well, I just traced this sleeve right here. Alright, here are my two sleeves, and here are the two strips that are going to become the ties at the wrist. These sleeves are actually puff sleeves, so they're going to gather at the top and at the bottom. Here's the pattern that I used to make those two puff sleeves. What I did is I just used the slash and spread method, which is very common and used for a lot of different sleeves. And what I did is I traced out the sleeve of that same gray t-shirt, and then I cut that sleeve into strips. So these strips are from the original sleeve pattern that I traced out, and then I spread out those strips onto new fabric and traced it out. So by spreading all these strips, I'm just making the sleeve even bigger so that I can gather it and make it look really puffy. Alright, I have done quite a few things. First, I put my front and back pieces right sides together and sewed all along the shoulder seams and down the side seams. The next thing I did is I folded the sleeves in half and sewed them shut, and I also put a basting stitch all along the top of the sleeve. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to pull on the threads of the basting stitch to gather the sleeve at the top, and I'm going to pin it right sides together to this armhole. Now, something really important to make sure that you're doing when you're gathering a sleeve is that you match up this sleeve seam to the side seam, and you match up the middle of the sleeve, which I have marked with a pin, to the shoulder seam. And when you're gathering your sleeve, make sure that these 2 points stay put, because if they shift around and if they don't stay where they're supposed to be, then the whole fit of your sleeve is going to get ruined and it's not going to fit properly when you wear your top. Alrighty, now that the two sleeves are attached to the top, we can move on to the bottom of the sleeve. So directly across from the sleeve seam, I have cut out a little triangle of fabric. It is going to be a little slit so that I can tie those ties comfortably. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this little bias tape thing that I made. And to make this, I just traced out the triangle shape and then made it 1 inch wide all across. And I'm going to pin and sew this right sides together to the little triangle on the sleeve. And once I sew all along here, I'm going to fold it under twice and then sew it down again, and then it'll be all sealed off. So I'm going to show you what that looks like once I've done it. Alright, here's what the little slit looks like when it's all sewn up. I just sewed it down and then folded it over twice underneath and then sewed it down again. So there you go. Now what we can do is put a basting stitch all along the bottom of the sleeve and gather it. Alrighty, so I have gathered my sleeve on the bottom. You can see it is very, very scrunched up, and I measured it and it's about 8 inches, which is pretty comfortable for my tiny, tiny wrist. And now over here, oh gosh, this is a mess. I'm sorry. Okay, take 2. Alright, I have already pinned my tie to the sleeve as well, right sides together. The first thing I did is I marked the middle of the tie, which you can see here with this black pin, that's the middle. And then I lined up the middle with the seam of the sleeve. Then after that, I just went along the rest of the sleeve until I got to the slit, and I pinned it right sides together, and so now I'm just going to sew all along here. Okie dokie, over here I sewed the tie to the sleeve right sides together with 1/2 inch seam allowance. So over here I folded up 1/2 inch all the way to the end of the tie, and on the other side as well. Now on the top I also folded it down 1/2 inch, and at the ends I also folded it in 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to meet these two ends, pin and sew all along the edge. Okay, so I just finished sewing up the ties and they are so cute. I love them so much. This is what they look like. And the little slit is on the side, so it's just hanging by the side of my hand. And now we're going to just hem the bottom and hem the neckline, and we'll be all done. Alright, what I have done here is I have traced the shapes of my necklines. This is the front neckline and this is the back neckline. And then I made 1-inch strips that I'm going to be sewing to the neckline in order to finish it off. So what I'm going to do with these, I'm actually going to sew them right sides together, just like this, so that it becomes one bias tape pretty much. And then I'm going to pin this to the neckline on the top. Alright, now that I have connected the front and back bias tape, I have pinned this one big bias tape all along the neckline, right sides together. So what I'm going to do is just sew all along these pins, and then afterwards I'm going to fold it once, like this, and then fold it again, just like this, and then sew it down. Alrighty, the neckline is all sewn up. It is a little bit wonky up here, but that's okay, nobody's going to see that. And I also hemmed the bottom. It was really simple. All I did was fold it once 1/4 inch and then fold it again 1/4 inch, and then I sewed that down. So now that this is all hemmed, the top is all done.